All right, let's talk about something that's honestly a huge deal for anyone who owns a firearm for self-defense. I'm talking about choosing a legal protection plan. It's a super crowded market out there, and picking the wrong one, man, that could be just as bad as the incident you're trying to protect yourself from in the first place. So our goal today is simple. Let's get you the info you need to get this right.
We all focus on the incident itself, right? That moment of self-defense that's over in just a few seconds. But here's the thing. That's just the beginning. The real fight, the one that can drain your bank account and drag on for years, well, that fight starts the second the physical threat is gone. What we're really talking about is everything that happens after the smoke clears.
So to make sense of all this, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll look at how these plans are even structured, then tackle the huge question of civil damages. We'll also dig into who actually picks your lawyer, decode that dreaded fine print, and finally, help you figure out how to choose the best fit for you.
All right, let's jump right in. First things first, you got to understand that calling this stuff self-defense insurance is, well, it's really misleading. It's not that simple. There are actually 3 totally different ways these companies are set up, and believe me, how they're built legally changes absolutely everything about what you're buying.
So the first model is probably what most people think of. It's an insurance-backed membership. Think of companies like USCCA. What you're doing is you're buying a membership, and a huge part of that is you get added as an insured person on a big master insurance policy. This makes it feel like traditional insurance. You get a policy document, it's regulated by the state, and yeah, that's why you can't get some of these plans in every single state.
Okay, now for something completely different. Model 2 is the prepaid legal service. Now, companies like US Law Shield, they're going to tell you right up front, we are not insurance, and they mean it. Instead of an insurance policy, you're basically paying a monthly subscription, kind of like Netflix, but for access to a network of lawyers. And because they cut out that whole insurance part, yeah, it usually means your monthly bill is going to be a bit lower.
And then there's the third model. And this one, well, it's a little more complicated, but it's super interesting. It's a hybrid model used by a company called Attorneys on Retainer. Here's how it works. You're not just buying a plan. You are literally hiring a law firm directly. The huge advantage? Boom. Instant attorney-client privilege. Then that law firm has its own special insurance company called a Risk Retention Group, or RRG, that you actually co-own as a member to handle the money side of things. It's a really unique setup. And just a quick heads up, this whole market is constantly changing. It's not static. We're starting to see bigger companies buy up smaller ones, like when CCW's SAFE recently acquired the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. This consolidation is happening, which means it's more important than ever to really understand the differences. And that brings us to maybe the single biggest difference you need to think about.
Okay, now we're at the big one. I mean, the multi-million-dollar question, literally. Let's say you're cleared in the criminal case, but then you get hit with a civil lawsuit and you lose. Who's writing that massive check? This is the fundamental divide, you guys. Are you just paying for a lawyer to show up, or are you actually buying protection against financial ruin?
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. It is a clear fork in the road. The whole market splits right down the middle here. On one side, you've got companies like USCCA that include millions in civil damages coverage. But on the other side, you have providers like US Law Shield who will pay for your lawyer, but if you lose that civil suit, you get zero. Zilch. Nada. It's a huge decision you have to make about what kind of risk you're really trying to protect against. And if you do want that civil coverage, just look at the difference in the numbers. It's kind of wild. USCCA gives you a flat $2 million. Simple. Second call defense lets you choose your own adventure, anywhere from 50 grand up to $1 million. With CCW SAFE, you've got to pay extra for it as an add-on or get their most expensive plan. And then you have AOR, which is much, much lower at $100,000. So yeah, even among the companies that do offer it, the details matter a ton. All right, so we've talked about the money, but there's another huge piece to this puzzle. Who's actually in the driver's seat for your legal defense? I mean, when everything is on the line, who gets to pick the lawyer you're trusting with your future? This is a big one. And as you can see, there are basically 3 different schools of thought on this. You've got the ones who say, don't worry, we'll pick for you. Then you have the ones who say, you can pick, but we get final say. And then there's the one that says, hey, we are the lawyers. Let's dig into what that actually means for you. So first up is provider's choice. This is what US Law Shield does. It's the most restrictive. They pick the lawyer, period. Now, their argument is that they've already vetted the best people for the job, but let's be real, it's also about controlling costs. The most common approach is member's choice, which is what USCCA and CCW SAFE do. You can bring your favorite local attorney to the table, but they still have to approve them. And then you've got the AOR model, the firm.
With them, there's no choosing because you've already hired them. You get that instant, powerful attorney-client privilege from day one.
All right, now let's talk about the fine print. This is so important. A company can shout from the rooftops about unlimited legal fees, but you know what? That promise means absolutely nothing if you accidentally trigger one tiny little exclusion hidden deep in the contract. And honestly, this is where the real war is being waged between these companies today.
Okay, for the longest time, the biggest nightmare for members was this thing called the criminal acts exclusion. It was a total catch-22. The company could literally drop you the second you got charged with a crime, which is, the exact moment you need them the most. This was a huge weakness, and it led to a game-changing update. Just this year, USCCA changed their policy. Now, they promise to stick with you as long as a judge says you have a good faith self-defense claim to make in court. For members, that's a massive improvement in peace of mind.
But that's not the only exclusion to watch out for. AOR's whole sales pitch is built around having no exclusions. They even say they'll cover you if you're convicted. You've got to keep your eyes peeled for other gaps, though. For example, some people have pointed out that the wording in U.S. Law Shield's plan could leave you high and dry if your incident happens in a gun-free zone, or even worse, in a domestic situation. These are huge potential holes that a company like AOR specifically says they will cover. But, and this is a really big but, that no exclusions promise from AOR comes with a risk, a big one. Remember that special RRG insurance model they use? Well, because of that, they don't have to pay into state guarantee funds. What does that mean? It means if the insurance company behind USCCA went bankrupt, the state would step in and act like a safety net to pay claims. If AOR's insurance company fails, there is no safety net. You, the member, are taking on that risk in exchange for that no exclusions promise.
Okay. Whew, we've covered a lot. The different company structures, the huge money questions, the sneaky fine print. So the big question is, how on earth do you choose? Let's try to pull all this together and create a simple guide based on what matters most to you.
Let's try to make this super simple. If your biggest fear is getting wiped out by a civil lawsuit, you should be looking hard at USCCA or second call defense. They lead the pack there. If your top priority is having zero chance of being dropped because of some fine print exclusion, then AOR is your answer, as long as you're okay with that RRG risk we talked about. If you want the company that has actually gone through a full-blown murder trial and won, well, CCW Safe is the only one that really leans into that. And look, if you just want the most affordable criminal defense lawyer and you're willing to skip the civil stuff, then Right to Bear or US Law Shield are going to be your go-to options.
And hey, don't sleep on the extra benefits. Take bail bonds, for instance. This can be a massive deal. You've got CCW Safe offering $1 million, or even more, for bail. That's not an add-on, that's standard. Compare that to the others, it's a huge difference. And it could literally be the difference between you waiting for your trial at home with your family or sitting in a jail cell.
And you can see that these companies are in a total arms race to add new features. Things like covering your legal fees for a red flag hearing, or even paying to get your record expunged after you're cleared. These are quickly becoming the new normal, at least for the top-tier plans. The takeaway here is that this market is always changing. So, let's boil this all down to a final 4-point checklist for you. Number 1, know the 3 business models. It all flows from there. Number 2, you have to make that big call on civil damages coverage, yes or no. Number 3, decide if you want to pick your lawyer or if you trust them to do it. And number 4, and I can't say this enough, read the fine print. That's where your protection either holds up or falls apart. So in the end, it really all boils down to one final question you have to ask yourself. Which risk scares you the most? Is it the thought of financial ruin from a multi-million-dollar lawsuit? Is it the illegal nightmare of an exclusion leaving you high and dry when you need help the most? Or is it that small but not zero chance of a whole new type of company failing? Once you know your answer to that question, you'll know which path is the right one for you.